I just discovered this really good article about the banks and how the banks manipulate the price and how there's an exchange of transactions. And like I say every day on the sentiment videos that I produce, is that there has to be a transaction. There has to be someone buying when someone's selling. Okay, and the transaction here in this article is that we're looking at the COT data and we're going to look at the large specs offloading positions onto the commercials. And so prior to the Middle East crisis, we were long on the large specs. They were quite heavily long. The commercials were quite short. So that's of note. And then, obviously the things started to escalate a little bit in the Middle East, and we saw a big increase on the longs of the large specs, which are banks and institutions. The comms, they increased their selling, they increased their shorts, and so a big change over the last 3 weeks. The large specs have doubled their net long positions, and at this point they're pushing price higher because obviously they're long and they're going to offload those positions. They're gone long and they're going to de-risk and take profit, and unfortunately there has to be someone to take the other side of that transaction, and it's likely going to be the small fish here. It is worth noting that this is very high level. This is banks and institutions, and you've got your commercials and you've got your small specs, and I don't know if the retail guys are even in there. So we're talking about like a food chain of big players in the market. Basically, these are the huge entities, commercial, small specs. I don't even know the retail guys are even in that. The retail guys are pretty much like the like at the bottom of the very bottom of the food chain. So I'm not sure if they're involved in that aspect. There might even be, or they might even be below that level, right? But at the end of the day, there has to be a transaction and a movement of positions. So it's pushing price higher, like you see, because they're long, and then they're going to probably, looks like they know that there's supply and it's a good place to de-risk and to take profit. So they did incredibly well out of the Middle East crisis, which sounds horrible, but that is finance. And it looks like the comms might be offloaded those positions from the large specs. So they're going to take the slack where these guys are going to take profit. They'll then manipulate price lower in order to buy. Okay, and just some manipulation stuff that goes on, which we'll see on the retail sentiment anyway. And so really, how do we use this information as traders? Well, you might not want to be selling. You might want to wait for it to bottom and then buy, potentially, because it's still ongoing in the Middle East. But just to let you know, they probably an offloading of positions here, and it's possible that the commercials are going to take those positions where these guys are going to decrease, and they're going to de-risk, and they're going to take lots of profit, and then they'll be quite happy. And the banks do want price contained. They don't want it above 10%. They're quite happy, give or take. That's a nice profit margin for the bank. And you should be careful about when you're buying into supply as well. And a good strategy is to wait for the inevitable pullback that always seems to follow any substantial price rally. So we had a huge price rally, not a bad place to take profit. So his advice, or her advice, let's say, is to wait for the retracement and then potentially buy again. But then you want to be de-risking up here, unless of course we have like a World War III scenario where this will just go parabolic and then it won't be contained at all, and then it'll probably rush really hard up to 2,100 or something. We don't really know for sure, but it looks like there's an offloading of positions here. All right, so this is why the COT data is really, really important. And if you can get to watch the video that I do every Sunday, spend 5 minutes watching it, and then you can get an idea about how this works. And ideally we want to stay on the side of the non-com, so we don't really want to be doing what the commercials are doing, and definitely don't want to be doing the same as the retail guys as well. So that's just a quick one there. Good article. It's all in Discord, so have a look at that. And we've got a power speech later, so we might see a bit of a wobble here, but you can see how it's all manipulated. And I think, pending this Friday's data, we're going to see a decrease on these large specs. So we'll have to wait and see. I wholeheartedly recommend forex.com and their indicators for MetaTrader 4 and 5. It's a 7-day free trial, so do have a look. There's no credit card required. You might be lacking in some sentiment awareness, analysis, and it does complement technical and fundamentals very well. Especially if you're very technical, you could be missing out on some sentiment, or if you're particularly fundamental, you could be missing out on some sentiment. This is like a sweet zone. It complements both, and it gives you a very strong bias about direction as well. So technicals are great for direction, fundamentals are great for direction, but the sentiment sits in between. Okay, and so perhaps if you're missing out on some sentiment awareness, these are the best indicators in existence in the world for that. And then you can have a look at this. You've got a 7-day free trial, and you've got your order book, and you've got your indicators, including the ratios, which are amazing. Just look at my videos on my YouTube channel and you can see how powerful the ratios are. And you can have a look. Just take your time. You've got 7 days to trial them, and if you don't like them, then that's fair enough. You don't have to renew, but we do have a code if you want to, and it's just the QuasiDB code, and it gives you a 10% discount, and that's it. So have a look, see what you think, and like I said, it's a 7-day trial, so you don't have to renew, but I think you'll probably find you will renew afterwards, because the order book and the ratios and the stop loss clusters as well are amazing. The stop loss clusters are great because you know where to target. Okay, so that's where you take profit, where people get stopped out. Okay, and that's it. So just a quick plug for the fxside.com, and enjoy your day.